Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 1, and text 19. So without further ado, I'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Ivadadari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privajikacharya Stottara Sadashishi Mother's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privajikacharya Stottara Sadashishi Mother's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से द्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय Hare Krishna Mantra ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hare Hare Go. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nityananda. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Narayana Namaskritya Narom Devam Namottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Vajirayat Nashya Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavatu Tamastuki Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So I'll read the text 3 times, and then anyone who feels so inclined can also chant the text. Tatre kavaya vamdhyayet ayuchinena chetasa mano nivishayam yuktva tata kinchana nasmaret param tat paramam vishnu manuyata prasidati tate kavayavam dhyayat ayuchinena chetasa mano nirvishayam yuktva tata kinchana nasmaret param tat paramam vishnu manuyata prasidati tate kavayavam dhyayet ayuchinena chetasam Nano nirvishayam yuktva tata kinchana nasmaret param tat paramam vishnu manuyatra prasidati. Hare Krishna. Anyone?
I can go.
Yes, please.
Tatraikavayam dhyayed avyuchinnena chetasa mano nirvishayam yuktva tatah kinchana nasmaret padam tat paramam vishno mano yatra prasidati. Hare
Hare,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
तत्रैकावयवं ध्यायेदविच्छिन्नेन चेतसा मनो निर्विषयं युक्त्वा ततः किञ्चन न स्मरेत् पदं तत्परमं विष्णोर्मनो यत्र प्रसीदति.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We'll do word for word now. Tatra. Thereafter. Eight, one by one. Avyayam, limbs of the body. Dhyayat should be concentrated upon. Ayuchi, ayuchinena, without being deviated from the complete form. Chetasa, by the mind. Mana, mind. Nirvishaya, without being contaminated by sense objects. Yuktva, being dovetailed. Tata, after that. Kinchana, anything. Na, do not. Smared, think of. Padam, personality. Tat, that. Paramam, supreme. Vishnu, of Vishnu. Mana, the mind. Yatra, whereupon. Prasidati becomes reconciled. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of the complete body. Thus, the mind becomes free from all sense objects. There should be no other thing to be thought upon. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth, the mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Foolish persons, bewildered by the external energy of Vishnu, do not know that the ultimate goal of the progressive search after happiness is to get in touch directly with Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Vishnu Tattva is an unlimited expansion of different transcendental forms of the personality of Godhead, and the supreme or original form of Vishnu Tattva is Govinda, or Lord Krishna, the supreme cause of all causes. Therefore, thinking of Vishnu or meditating upon the transcendental form of Vishnu, specifically on Lord Krishna, is the last word on the subject of meditation. This meditation may be begun from the lotus feet of the Lord. One should not, however, forget or be misled from the complete form of the Lord. Thus, one should practice thinking of the different parts of his transcendental body, one after another. Here in this verse, it is definitely assured that the Supreme Lord is not impersonal. He is a person, but his body is different from those of conditioned persons like us. Otherwise, meditation beginning from the prana of Omkara up to the limbs of the personal body of Vishnu would not have been recommended by Shukadeva Goswami for the attainment of complete spiritual perfection. The Vishnu forms of worship in great temples of India are not therefore arrangements of idol worship, as they are wrongly interpreted to be by a class of men with a poor fund of knowledge. Rather, they are different spiritual centers of meditation on the transcendental limbs of the body of Vishnu. The worshipable deity in the temple of Vishnu is identical with Lord Vishnu by the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Therefore, a neophyte's concentration or meditation upon the limbs of Vishnu in the temple, as contemplated in the revealed scriptures, is an easy opportunity for meditation for persons who are unable to sit down tightly at one place and then concentrate upon prana, omkara, or the limbs of the body of Vishnu, as recommended herein by Shukadeva Goswami, the great authority. The common man can benefit more by meditating on the form of Vishnu in the temple than on the Omkara, the spiritual combination of A-U-M, as explained before. There is no difference between Omkara and the forms of Vishnu, but persons unacquainted with the science of absolute truth try to create dissension by differentiating between the forms of Vishnu and that of Omkara. Here it is indicated that the Vishnu form is the ultimate goal of meditation. And as such, it is better to concentrate upon the forms of Vishnu than on impersonal Omkar. The latter process is also more difficult than the former. Om Ganati Mirandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Chakshu Umritam Jina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shat Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusuti Devi Paramani Hari Priya Panchakapatarubyascha Kripa Sindhi Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya, Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gaura Bhani Pracharini, Nirveshesha Sunyavari, Paschatya Deshacharini. Jai Hare Krishna. Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of a complete body. Thus, the mind becomes free from all senses. There should be no other thing to be thought upon. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth, the mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only. Again, very powerful instructions being given by Shukadev Goswami, especially to Maharaj Pariksit, who is about to die, got only 7 days left, and is using those 7 days very wisely, having left the administration to his sons and gotten off the palace and now situated on the banks of the Ganga, meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna, for that move, also arranged for Shukadeva Goswami, his spiritual master, to come and then instruct him. And the same mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master, now it's arranged for us to also hear what Shukadeva Goswami told Maharaj Pariksit, so that we can also improve in our spiritual life and ultimately earn the mercy of the Lord and be able to go back to Godhead to serve Him eternally. So, the first sentence here, two things. We should meditate upon the limbs of Lord Vishnu. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Vishnu Tattva, specifically Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya is the same as meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna. So, we have a wonderful opportunity to connect with Krishna through meditation. Meditation on one object or one personality makes us remember that object or personality. So meditating on the limbs of Lord Vishnu also says that Lord Vishnu is personal. We can't have impersonality with limbs. It's not possible. So the Lord is personal. In the Vishnu Tattva, specifically Krishna, in this particular Kali Yuga that we're in, the Lord has come as Lord Chaitanya and propagated the chanting of the holy name. So much has been put in the as potencies in the name of the Lord. Namnama Kari Bahudani Jashava Shaktis, Tatra Pitani Amitas Marane Nakala, Itadishi Tabakripa Bhagavan Mamati, Durideva Midesham, Hajani Nanuraga, which is the second shloka of the Shastaka, written by Lord Chaitanya. The holy names of the Lord is packed with the potencies of the Lord. And there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the name of the Lord. We should remember the Lord all of the time. Rupa Goswami tells us that. Therefore, we should chant the holy name of the Lord and therefore bring the mind to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna all of the time. So it is important that we connect with Krishna, and Shukadeva Goswami is teaching Maharaj Pariksit also for our benefit, not to mention all of those wonderful, highly elevated souls that were present at the time that Maharaj Pariksit was about to depart, to go back to the spiritual world, specifically Golok Vrindavan. So, on meditating on the limbs of Lord Vishnu, we shouldn't be deviated from the conception of the complete body. So, we should meditate on Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. This is the lotus feet of the whole of Krishna. These are the ankles of the whole of Krishna. These are the calves of the whole of Krishna. These are the knees of the whole of Krishna. These are the thighs of the whole of Krishna. This is the waist of the whole of Krishna. So as we're looking at like that, all the way up to the face, the smiling face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his paraphernalia, particularly the flute, which is very, very enchanting to those who hear. So the meditation on Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna causes the mind to become free from all sense objects. That is bound to happen because Krishna is spiritual. And the sense object being mentioned here are the material sense objects. So when we take our mind, transfer it to the thought of Krishna, through Krishna's limbs, meditating on them, then the mind becomes focused on there. As a matter of fact, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about, in one of his books, the living entity meeting Krishna face to face. And he's not referring to the deity of Krishna that many of us don't have the eyes that's tinged with salve of love, like Lord Brahma says, so we can see the Lord deeper than we normally see. But still, the mercy is there because when the Murti is there, we get to serve, we get to dance, we get to chant for the Lord. So that's there. But we're talking about meeting Krishna face to face. The mind will become free from all sense objects. And as a matter of fact, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes it this way. When one sees the Lord, all of the senses, again, I'm just repeating, but how it can be possible is only, you can't imagine it until you actually see Krishna face to face. All of the senses will be merged into the sense of sight. And then again, there is, in fact, that possibility at the level of the soul, because the soul has senses that are interchangeable. They can do other things. Therefore, all the senses can also see if they want to. So the Lord does not connect with our bodies, connects with our souls. So anyway, to come back to how Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes it, all the senses merge into the sense of sight. And then hang on a second, I have to do a little change here, just spinning. All right, okay, so when the devotee sees Krishna, and everything about the senses about the devotee is now focused on the sight of Krishna. It is very overwhelming because Krishna is most attractive. It's so overwhelming that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that the physical body of such a person will not be able to withstand the whole situation of just observing, just looking at Krishna. That the physical body will fall apart. In other words, the physical body will faint. And when that fainting happens, the Lord will wake up this person. And then, because the Lord has gotten close, the living entity then will be able to smell the aroma from the Lord. And so all of the senses will now merge into the sense of smell. And that is so overwhelming again for the physical body that this person will pass out again, faint. But the Lord wakes up this person. And the devotee now hears the Lord's voice. The Lord speaks to the devotee. And from speaking, all of the senses of the devotee now merge into the sense of hearing. That is, the meeting of Krishna is so overwhelming that the senses, for everything that they're experiencing the first time, first seeing Krishna, then smelling Krishna's wonderful aroma on his body, and then hearing Krishna's voice. And Krishna's voice is wonderful. As a matter of fact, when he came to Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda as a baby, we know our babies, when they cry, how it sounds like. But it's been reported that Krishna's cry, and he cried just like a regular baby because he's acting at that level. His cry was musical. It was wonderful to hear him cry, even though people, those who heard him knew that he was crying, but the sound was wonderful. So Krishna's voice is like that. It's very, 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 very captivating. So he speaks, and then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about what he speaks. At least one sentence that I remember still. I am at your service. Krishna is putting himself at the service of his devotee. This happens when we come to the level of purity. And from that point on, Krishna would relate to the devotee based on the original relationship that the devotee has with Krishna in the spiritual world. If the relationship is in conjugal love, for example, then Krishna will actually draw the person, the devotee, to his chest. If he's a friend, then Krishna will hold the hand of the devotee. So this is some of the descriptions given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Seeing Krishna is very intoxicating, spiritually intoxicating. And so at this point, by the mercy of the Lord, since we don't have these spiritual eyes, He's made himself possible to be seen in the deity form, so that our material eyes can see and also can serve. But the deep connection that comes later, after we shed our offensive nature and we take the chanting seriously and chant in a very focused way and chant very regularly, and the rest of the day think about Krishna, that time will come. He always responds, Ye yatama papajante tam state papajamyaham. The extent to which we surrender to the Lord, He will reward accordingly. So, the translation says we should meditate on the limbs of the Lord Vishnu, specifically Krishna, one after another. We begin from the lotus feet of the Lord. And in that way, we would not think of any other thing. There's nothing else to be thought upon. And so the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we relate to Him in that way, meditating on His form completely, but from one limb to the next, or as we're told we instructed to do, from the bottom, from the feet, all the way up to the face, then the mind becomes completely reconciled in Him. And to this day, it is a necessary thing for us to do. When we see even our home deities, we open every time we see them, we start from looking at the feet of the deity and up. Same thing in the temple, looking at the feet of each deity, all the way up to the face. Never the face directly. Look the feet first. It also helps us to remind us about our position. We are at the feet of the Lord. And that's where we will be, in fact, saved from this material energy. And Lord Chaitanya talks about it also in his Shastaka. My Lord, I'm your eternal servitor, but somehow or other, I've fallen into this ocean of birth and death. So please deliver me from this ocean of death and do what? Place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So we start with meditating on the limbs of the Lord, beginning from the feet. And speaking about that, there was one incident, one situation that involved the children, 10 children, 10 sons of Maharaj Bahishat, also known as Prachina Bahishat or Prachina Bahi sometimes. So when he got older and became king, because he was in the kingly line, Lord Brahma ordered him, Maharaj Pratinabahi, to marry the daughter of the ocean, named Shatadruti. Very, very, very beautiful young woman. And even during the marriage ceremony, of course, there's always the fire, the yagya, the fire is there for Lord Agni, the demigod Agni. So the demigod Agni even became very attracted to her. But of course, he didn't go beyond just being attracted to this wonderful lady. So Maharaj Pachinabahi married Sataduti, and we got 10 children. And they were all equally endowed with religiosity. They called Prachetas. So Prachetas, 10 sons of Sataduti and Pachinabahi. Their father also ordered them to marry and beget children. So then they went through a series of activities, one of them being practicing austerities and penances. For 10,000 years, they did that. Now, when they left home to execute this, they met Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva already knew what they were about to do. So, out of his great mercy, he instructed them about the absolute truth. Now, why do we talk about this? When Lord Shiva met them on their way to the ocean to chant and to do some meditation and austerities, practice austerity, Lord Shiva told them he was very happy that they had made that decision. They were princes, and so much material wealth was there, but they still left in order to go practice austerity. And so, this is in Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth canto. And when Lord Shiva met them, he said, and by the way, it's fourth canto, chapter 24. That's where you find the whole story described there. And so Lord Shiva met them and says, I'm very pleased with you, and I know what you're getting ready to do. And I will teach you a mantra that you should chant while you're doing your austerities. Now, the mantra is very interesting, and it's fairly long. It covers quite a few texts on Canto 4, chapter 24. But at 45 and 46, and on, and 45, 46 are together, and on for quite a few texts, Lord Shiva first talks about wanting to see the Lord the way devotees see the Lord. That is the two-handed form of the Lord. We know Vishnu, we have four-handed form also, the two-handed form. And so he describes the Lord's beauty. And we are to meditate on the limbs of the Lord. Now, here's what Lord Shiva tells them. This is part of the mantra that he told them, the Prachitas to chant. So I'll read directly. The Lord's beauty resembles a dark cloud during the rainy season. So he's talking about Krishna, bluish black, like a dark cloud. As the rainfall glistens, his body features also glisten. So if we're meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we also have to remember, even if our eyes deceive us and not connect with the effulgent part of the Lord, we should realize that it's still there. And Lord Shiva is trying to make a comparison for material things so that we get a sense of what the Lord looks like. As the rainfall, you see that there's some glistening nature of the rainfall, especially when it's quite steady. I've seen it several times. When I was little, I would watch in Ghana, it pours like anything. And you see that glistening feature. So Lord Shiva continues, indeed, he, the Lord, is the sum total of all beauty. Krishna is all attractive because he's the most beautiful. The Lord's arms are exquisitely beautiful, and his face and the eyes are like lotus petals, and a beautifully highly raised nose, and a mind-attractive smile, and a beautiful forehead, and equally beautiful and fully decorated ears. So Lord Shiva started describing the Lord's face. So I'm going to do a little about turn here and read the chapters, the verses down because it should be consistent with what we're talking about. Shukadeva Goswami says we should meditate on the Lord's feet. So I'm going to go to the text that Lord Shiva describes the Lord's feet, and it is very, very, very wonderful. So that's text 52. He says, my dear Lord, your two lotus feet are so beautiful. They're so beautiful that they appear to be like two blossoming petals of lotus flower. which grows in the autumn season. Hmm? Then he describes the nails. The nails of your lotus feet, they emanate such great effulgence that they immediately dissipate all the darkness in the heart of a conditioned soul. So we don't have eyes to see the effulgence coming from the nails of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is, if we're conditioned. Some of you may be pure, I don't know, but I am conditioned. So I don't see that when I look at the feet of the deity. But Lord Shiva is saying it is there. Hmm? Such great effulgence. When you look at the lotus feet, your heart just opens up, literally, becomes very, very, very bright. And that would also stir up loving sentiments towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hmm? So all conditioned souls covered with the darkness of ignorance, they can be enlightened by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as spiritual master. And you well know that that is the situation in Bhagavad Gita. The Lord was spiritual master for Arjuna, and his instructions benefit all of us. Now, so we go up a little bit. The lower part of the Lord's waist is dark and covered with yellow garments. Remember, the Lord is bluish black in color, so that means that color. And he also has a belt bedecked with a golden embroidery work. So as we talking about this, try to, the only choice we have is to imagine the Lord's form. Meditating, we've talked about the feet, how wonderful the nails emanate great effulgence. And now we're looking at the lower part, that is the thighs area, the knee area, especially the thigh area, and that's most of the garments cover that, the thigh area. Of course, the waist also. But we'll come to the waist a little later. That's another place that the Lord Shiva describes. So the lower part of the Lord's waist is dark and covered with yellow garments and a belt with embroidery, golden embroidery. So the calves, the thighs, the joints of his legs, they're all extraordinarily beautiful. Indeed, the Lord's entire body appears to be very well built. So this is Lord Shiva telling the Prachitas that. Then we go a little higher to his abdomen. The Lord's abdomen is beautiful due to 3 ripples in the flesh. Being so round, his abdomen resembles the leaf of a banyan tree. And when he exhales and inhales, the movement of these ripples appear very, very beautiful. There are coils within the navel of the Lord, and they are so deep that it appears that the entire universe sprouted out of it, and yet again wishes to go back. So in one sense, he's describing Lord Vishnu, especially Mahavishnu. So the Lord's abdomen is very beautiful. He has 3 ripples of flesh, and so of course, he used the word flesh, but advisedly, because the Lord is spiritual. When he says flesh, he's not talking about material flesh. But when he inhales and he exhales, then the ripples move. And it's very, very wonderful to watch. And then there are also coils within the navel of the Lord that are very deep. Now, to go up a little more, the Lord's shoulders, Lord Shiva says, they are like a lion's. The strength is that you can see. And upon these shoulders are garlands and necklaces and epaulets, and all of them are all glittering. Then there's the beauty of the Kashtivamani pearl. So that's on the chest. And there are streaks named Shivata, which are the signs of the goddess of fortune. So these streaks, they excel the beauty of the golden streaks on the gold testing stone. Indeed, Lord Shiva says such beauty on the chest of the Lord defeats even the gold testing stone, the beauty of that. Then to the Lord's face. The Lord is super excellently beautiful on account of his open and merciful smile and his sidelong glance upon his devotees. The Lord, his hair is black, it's curly, and you look at his clothes, the waving in the wind, they appear to be like flying saffron pollen from lotus leaves. Remember, the Lord wears yellow garments, so saffron is yellowish. And then his glittering earrings, his shiny helmet, his bangles, garland, waist belt, and ankle bells. We add all of that to it, all the things that tingle, and the various bodily ornaments combined with all that he holds, because Lord Krishna holds the flute, Lord Vishnu has conch shell, this club, and the lotus flower. So either way, we penetrate, and we're talking about the meditation on the Lord's body parts. They all combine to increase the natural beauty of the Kaustuba pearl that's on his chest. So Lord Shiva goes through this whole description of the Lord beautifully, and he makes it into a mantra for them to chant, for the prachitas to chant. But that gives a good sense, hopefully, of how beautiful the Lord is. And so we are charged to have to concentrate on the Lord and no one else. And in that meditation, we will get the sense that the Lord is everything. As Lord Brahma says, he's the cause of all causes. But he's also the controller of everything. Ishvara Paramakishta Satchidananda Vigraha. He has no beginning. Anadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the supreme controller of all that we. And we have in the Bhagavatam 11th canto, chapter 2, it's also another, then we'll cut, I'm looking at the time now, so this one will be a little bit shorter than Lord Shiva's one. But Lord Shiva especially was talking to the Prachitas in this mantra form, which we expanded on it a little bit. He told the Prachitas to, when they go in for the start of their meditations and austerities, they should chant this every day, which they did. The 9 Yugendras are also very, very highly advanced. Totally disconnected from the material energy. They are the sons of Maharaj Rishabhadi. The first son out of the 100 sons was Maharaj Bharat. So Bharat Bhasha, the name Bharat Bhasha comes from Maharaj Bharat. And there were others too. Of course, there's 100 of them. 9 of them ruled the 9 islands of this little planet area, earthly area. And there were 81 of them who are also very, very Brahminical. And that makes it 91 total. So the 9 that left, we call the Navayogendras. And they were traveling all around, from all around me, even heavenly planets, medium planets, hellish planets, spiritual world, they went everywhere. And Maharaj Nimi, who was here on the earth, was doing a sacrifice. And as they were traveling, they came upon Maharaj Nimi. Maharaj Nimi received them very nicely. This is 11th Canto, chapter 2. And since there were 9 of them, Maharaj Nimi asked 9 questions so that each one of them can take one question and answer it. Now, the questions, the way they answered it helps us so much in our devotional life. So one of them is called Kavi. So Sri Kavi said, I consider that one whose intelligence is constantly disturbed by falsely identifying himself with this material world, temporary material world, that person can achieve real freedom from fear only by worshiping the lotus feet of the infallible Supreme Lord. When we worship in such way, devotional service, doing it devotionally, all the fear ceases entirely. So when we worship, we also surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And since He is the controller of all there is, then all we have to do is let the mind know is that we are at the lotus feet of the Lord. There is no fear. No fear. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead also says, Ma suchaha sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam bhaja. I will also take you from all sinful reaction. Take you away from it. Aham tvam sarva papi. Don't fear. If you surrender yourself at the lotus feet of the Lord, then all fear ceases. So, Sri Kavi explained that even ignorant living entities can very easily come to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead if they adopt this method, serving devotionally the Lord. So, this process is called Bhagavad Dharma, or devotion service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, what should we do as far as our consciousness goes? What should we have? And that is described by Sri Kavi, that in accordance with the nature that one has acquired in conditional life, that means the things that we do better than others, whatever one does with their body, their minds, their words, their senses, and the intelligence or the purified consciousness, one should offer all of that to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and think that this is for the pleasure of the Lord. Which means when we're chanting the Supreme Personality of Godhead's holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra, we should not do the thinking, oh, I have such number of rounds to complete today. I have a vow, I've taken a vow, or I'm very interested in Krishna, therefore I chant Krishna's name. The more important thought should be, I am doing this for the pleasure of Radha Krishna. I am doing this for the pleasure of the representative of Krishna, the spiritual master. That should be the mentality that should go along with our chanting. And one should not be afraid. So then Sri Kavi describes that fear comes about when the living entity misidentifies himself as the material body. Because we're so absorbed in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When we're connected spiritually, there is no fear because the Lord has full protection. And there's so many pastimes, the huge, huge, huge demons. What did the Lord do? Got rid of them and did it easily too. So why should we fear? We should just be surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord. And in that way, connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in love and be at his lotus feet. When we meditate on the deity, meditate from the lotus feet up on all the limbs. And the Lord says that we have to remember that we are meditating on the limbs of the Lord as directed by Shukadeva Goswami, but the limbs of the Lord are part of the Supreme Person, the whole. So we should never forget the whole also. And this is how he's talked about in this particular text for today. We should meditate on the limbs of Lord Vishnu, and Srila Prabhupada said specifically, Lord Krishna, one after another, and we shouldn't be deviated from the conception of the complete body. And that will free our minds from the sense objects, and then we concentrate on spiritual things, the topmost of it being the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the chanting of his holy name that causes us to think about him and also remember him at all times. And in that way, we are giving ourselves the opportunity to connect with him. Remember, Maharaj Pariksit was getting ready to leave the body. So Shukadeva Goswami was impressing upon him that you have to meditate on the limbs of the Lord. In that way, the mind will also be reconciled in him only. That means be convinced that everything about the Lord is all that I need. In that way, you get an opportunity to go back to Godhead. So it's also for us. to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you, dear devotees, for allowing me to do the service. Now it's time, if you want to, talk about some takeaways, or you can raise your hand electronically, that is. And or if you want to ask a question or share some realization, you can do that. Hare Krishna. Jai. Anyone? Don't be shy. You can unmute yourself and start commenting. Even just what you heard, some of the things that you want to repeat if you want, then we can have a conversation about it. Hare Krishna. Unless, of course, you're at work and it's not possible to do that, that's understandable. All right, so while you're thinking about it, the conclusion here is that the ultimate goal of life is to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the time of death. The ultimate goal, because that's what takes us out of the material world and back to the spiritual world. At this time, Srila Prabhupada had made it possible, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, that we get to learn how to love Krishna and also go back to particularly the planet Golok Vrindavan, which is the most versatile of all the spiritual planets. So, one who meditates on the form and limbs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it will help him in remembering the Lord during our last breaths, getting ready to leave. Then we won't come to this situation anymore, this situation of the material world, but then we will join the Lord and be eternally happy, and anxiety will never be a part of our lives anymore. Hare Krishna. Any last comments anyone wants to make before we leave? Yeah, Hare Krishna. There's one text. Hare Krishna. Okay, so Hare Krishna, Buddha, Sabaham, this is his glory, Srila Prabhupada. Jai. I don't know whether you're continuing or you just put Hare Krishna there or you type in some more. We'll see. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai,
My humble
Srila Prabhupada.
obeisances to you
Jai.
and to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
So, thank you for such a nice class and
Krishna's mercy.
being so humble that there might be devotees who may be more spiritually advanced, but you accepted that you are not, you are more still. So that's like, I really appreciate your humbleness, even though you are such an advanced devotee. So,
That's what, anyway, Hare Krishna. I
one
don't think I
question
am,
that comes to my mind is Lord is beyond imagination, beyond our, we cannot really fathom the extent of his beauty. And so when we start contemplating, meditating on his physical form, I don't know. I feel like I'm going too far. I don't. I feel like I'm not even capable of even concentrating on the feet, let alone the whole body. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to know your thoughts on that. I understand that we are Lord is has a personal form, but when you start contemplating or meditating on that form, it feels to me like, at least to me, that he's beyond our imagination, beyond my imagination, or beyond what I can perceive. So I would like to know your thoughts on that.
That's the situation with all of us. That's the situation with all of us. That's why we talked about the way Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur described meeting the Lord while we're still in this physical body, and how it affects the senses, and how the senses all, merge into one particular sense depending on whether we're seeing the Lord, hearing the Lord's voice, or smelling the Lord's aroma. Yes, while we're in this physical body, it's like out of a realm of real experience. And that's been talked about in the Shastra. Lord Brahma has talked about it, that we don't have the kind of eyes even for the deity to perceive the deity as deeply as a pure devotee does. But the one thing that's important is the deity is there, reminds us of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in our situation, yes, it's beyond our material abilities, material senses, but the mercy is there. Hmm? We have the mercy. The mercy is from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that even things that are beyond us are available, so that our material senses can perceive to a limited extent, but also with our mouths, we can chant the holy name, and the Lord's name is transcendental. So our activities in devotional service is to get the mercy of the Lord. That's our situation. It is practice. It's practice for the real thing in the spiritual world. So even though, yes, there are limitations, restrictions because of this physical body, which is restricted in its senses and its ability, and even in the extent to which it can figure out things, still, by that practice, we'll be happy, because we're connected with the right source, Krishna. And we're also getting a chance to go back to the environment, which makes us happy forever, no anxiety and all of that. So we have to just keep practicing anyway, even though, as you said in your comment, in your question, many of the realities are beyond our abilities for this physical body to actually perceive. But we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing. We're following Guru's instructions, and we're doing what we're told to do. And the result is being shown to us, or it's been told to us, that we get to go back to experience the reality. Experience the reality. So even though this problem is there, we should be ready for what's coming after we leave this body. Thinking about the Lord when we go back to the spiritual world, then things will become much clearer, and we'll be definitely happier too, because the anxieties will all be gone. Hare Krishna. So yeah, it's a good question, and your expression of how you feel is actually the case for all of us. For all of us. Even the pure devotees among us also say that, I don't have that much, because when they come closer to the Lord, they're not like us. But when they come closer to the Lord, and they see how huge the Lord is in terms of his size, his abilities, so many things compared to them, they also get overwhelmed in that way. And then they pray in that, let me be an atom at your lotus feet, and the Lord Chaitanya is praying like that. So that teaches us that, yes, the opportunity is there, but in time, in the spiritual world, it will be much clearer to us. Hare Krishna. Dr. Xavier followed through with the question that he started. He said, Hare Krishna. Now he has a question, so we'll take that. Could you explain more how chanting satisfies the Lord's wishes or the Lord's senses? So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra means, dear Lord, dear Radha, dear Krishna, please engage me. Permit me to be involved in devotional service to you. So devotional service, when you serve someone, you please that person's senses. So devotional service to the Lord, when we serve the Lord, and this is our eternal duty in the spiritual world, by the way, we're practicing here. When we serve the Lord will be pleased with us because we are satisfying his senses and his wishes. And the mantra's meaning is like that. Please let me keep doing that, serving the Lord. So the very fact that devotional service is the way it is, serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead's parts and parcels, Guru and the devotees, every time, so it's to bring it down to what we have here. For example, somebody is getting ready to have prashadam. Another devotee says, can I get this for you? What do you want? And then you go, all right, I would like a little bit more of the sweet rice. and the person goes and gets sweet rice and brings it. You don't have to get up from the table. They go and bring it and put it right in front of you. You will immediately be satisfied and grateful and thankful. The person that served you. So in that way, when we serve in the Krishna is also personal. Because he is a person. There's a personality with just a spiritual body. We have material bodies and the soul, but he has a spiritual body. Still, when we serve based on the instructions that we've been given by Guru, then we're satisfying Krishna's senses because we're doing what he likes for us to do to serve him. And he will serve us back through protection and also by sweetening our lives, which we have our individual experiences of that. So that's how the chanting satisfies Krishna's senses. The chanting is to say, let me please serve you. And then you go ahead and serve based on the instructions of the spiritual master. Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you for the nice question. Anyone else want to make final comments before we leave? If not, then thank you very much for all of you coming on this to hear more Krishna Katha and nice exchange also at the end of the class. Panchakalpatarubhasya kripa sunive evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Have a nice and wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Go to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.